Making a great first impression will largely depend on the clothes that you wear to a job interview, because that's what the employer will ultimately see first. It's important to look your best in an interview because you are marketing yourself, which could eventually mean marketing for the employer you'll be working for, whether you're in the advertising field or not. For the ladies, here are my recommendations. If possible, it's a good idea to have a business suit with either a skirt or a pair of matching slacks in a neutral color, such as black, navy, gray, or brown, and a coordinated blouse. If you decide to go with the skirt, it should be long enough to be able to sit down comfortably. You can choose to wear pantyhose or matching socks if you're wearing slacks. When it comes to hair and makeup, it's important to have subtle makeup and little to no perfume. You don't want to look like a painted doll when you walk into the room. With perfume, it's better to go with either no perfume at all or a very, very light scent. People can be highly allergic or very sensitive to perfumes, so it's best to just avoid it altogether if you can help it. It's also important to have groomed fingernails. You don't necessarily have to worry about having them painted, but if you do have them painted, make sure that they aren't chipped anywhere and that the nail beds are clean. Jewelry can be also a very nice addition to your ensemble, but make sure that it doesn't overpower your outfit in terms of size or noise. You don't want your jewelry walking into the room before you do. I've had a lot of people ask about the kind of shoes that are best to wear for an interview. I would err on the side of caution and go for the closed-toed shoe, and polished heels can also be a very nice addition. I wouldn't go higher than a 2-inch heel though, because most likely you'll be given a tour of the office, so you'll want to make sure that you're wearing comfortable shoes. You can also choose to bring a portfolio or a briefcase. This can house copies of your resume, cover letter, and references. You can also bring a notepad or a notebook to take notes at the interview. And here's a hint. Use this notebook to jot down things that you want to talk about in an interview, or perhaps the questions that you want to make sure to ask during the interview. Let's move over to the gentleman. You can't go wrong with having a business suit in a solid neutral color, such as black, navy, dark gray, or brown. Nowadays, you can walk into a store and pretty much buy an entire suit off a rack, including a blazer, slacks, a dress shirt, and a tie. So it should be pretty easy to put together. And also, make sure that you have a belt and are wearing dark socks and conservative leather shoes. This ties the entire look together. It's important to have a minimal amount of jewelry and having a neat professional hairstyle and trimmed facial hair if you have it, and that's also important. As I said earlier, it will be one of the first things that the interviewer will see. And as with the ladies, it's important to limit the aftershave or cologne, as you don't want to overpower anyone who is in the room with you or passes you in the hall. Make sure that you have neatly trimmed nails and that your nail beds are also clean. And lastly, you can also choose to bring a briefcase or a portfolio, and I would recommend it if you can. Now that we've covered the basic attire for men and women, let's talk about what not to bring to an interview. Gum, your cell phone, or iPod. I don't know about you, but my phone hardly ever goes off, but if it does, it's when I'm in an interview or an important meeting. It's just best to leave it in your briefcase or silent or in your car. You can leave your coffee or soda in the car, as you'll probably be offered water during the interview, and soda can have embarrassing effects on your speech if consumed too quickly. You also don't want to have too many piercings or tattoos showing, unless that's a line of work that you want to go into. You'll also want to scope out the organization's take on these types of things, but a good rule of thumb is to cover them as much as possible.